Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Anchor Snake here. Again, I hope you're doing great. Well, welcome to Boot Camp Phase 2, the flight side of Boot Camp, and we're going to focus on ships. And everything you need to know to get out there and be successful as a brand new hauler. With the release of 4.7.2, all new players, you should be spawning in your shiny new hangar and pulling up your brand new starter ship, and you're rip-roaring ready to go, and you get out there to it, and you watch the videos, and you know how to pull it up now. Now what do you do? Well, I'm here to help you as best I can. So I'm going to take a really deep dive, and I'm going to try to set you up with as much information that's useful, hopefully, and get you out there in the verse and get you ready to go. And that will conclude the boot camp series of this video. This will be episode 4. Episode 5, I'm going to focus on cargo missions. And then episode 6 will hopefully tidy it all up, the whole series up, and doing commodity missions and such. So without further ado, let's dive in and figure out see what this is all about. Thanks for watching, y'all. Here we go. Well, look at you go. You just bought yourself a new starter package and you're all rip-roaring ready to go. But you don't know how to turn your ship on. Well, you've come to the right place. You're not really interested in learning about all the other stuff. You just want to get out there and start flying your ship, and I totally get it. So let's make that happen. Well, let's get in this thing and let's get to flying. First thing you got to do is you got to power this thing on. So how do you do that? Well, here we go. I'm going to turn on my head tracker. It's a little easier for me to look around, but there's a couple ways you can do this. You can hit the U button on your keyboard. That's one way. But what it doesn't bring on your engines, so you have to hit I to bring on your engines. Now, if we look at your power management, and you slide your pips over, you want to make sure that you bring your radar down below at least 2 pips, okay? So you're not overheating that. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it, and you can just hit U and I again. It kills everything. Now, let's check and see if this ship has a... let's see if it has a flight ready button. It does. So you can hit flight ready. That's the easiest way to do it. And we should be ready to go. Cool. That's one way to do it. And then when you're ready to shut it off, just hit engines power off. That's the second way to do it. The third way to do it is if you bought yourself a fancy HOTAS with a bunch of buttons. So here we go. We're going to go to options. We can bind some keys to it. That's what I've done. I have it on my HOTAS. We're going to go to advanced settings. The first one is vehicle cockpit. And then right here, flight systems ready. So bind your key to that. And then to turn everything off, we're going to go down to flight power. Where is it at? Flight power. Here it is right here. Here's your toggle power on and off. So you can bind a button to that. That's what I've got it bound to. And then hit save, and then you can get out of that, turn the game, and then you're back in the business. So I'm going to hit my flight ready button. It brings everything on. And if I want to shut it off, I just hit the on off button. And that, folks, is it. That's all you have to do. Now, if you have a ship that has an engineering terminal, you can go in and set some presets for this, but just know when you turn it on, just check your pips. That's the main thing. Just make sure your pips aren't set in the red areas. Okay, as long as they're not set in the red areas, you should be good to go. We still got 3 more pips we can use if we need them. And guys, that's it. That's how you start up your ship. Pretty simple, huh? This is not the standard paint job for this ship. I just think it looks really good on there, but all right, guys, now let's get out there and get after it and have some fun. Cool. In this section of the video, we're going to talk about landing gear. Awesome. How do you get the landing gear to come up? Well, you can tap in. So let me switch to exterior view. Tap in. It raises the landing gear. If I tap in again, it lowers it. Just tap in. So on my control panel, I have a vertical control panel 2 actually has a landing gear and handle that you can push up and down. It looks legit. Looks like the same thing you would see on a real airplane. But if you have something like that, or if maybe you just want to bind it to a switch for quick, easy access, how you do that, you just hit escape, you go options, key bindings. We're going to switch over to joystick and HOTAS, click that button. Flight movement, scroll down here. Landing system toggle. Okay, so like if you just wanted to assign it to a button, so like you hit it, you touch it one time, it opens it, touch it again, it closes it. Sort of like the N button, right, on your keyboard. In my instance, I have a handle that I push, I push up, and when it goes up, it raises it, and when it goes down, it deploys it. That's it. Pretty simple. But that, folks, is a landing gear. And just remember, if you are in an auto landing type hangar, like here at Babbage, you can just hold the N key. Just hold down the N, and it'll automatically land for you. I didn't do none of that. The game did all that for me. Now, your hangars at your space stations and stuff like that will tell you that it's self-land. So just keep that in mind. Also, guys and gals, down here on in your screen, there's all kinds of like information that kind of help you through stuff. Now, you could turn this feature off if you want to, but I like to leave it on. And that is landing gear. And just real quickly, your landing gear is showed right here on your Advanced HUD. Right now it shows us that's a wheel. It's representing like a landing gear wheel. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, real quickly, I want to talk about doors. There's all kinds of doors and access panels and stuff on the ship. I have a button configured on my control panel that can open all the doors. Just it depends on what kind of ship you're in, but then if I hit the little thumb switch, this is very handy when you're trying to unload cargo. Most of your ships have a switch somewhere, and like on the Aurora Mark II, it's right here. If I hit that, it's the same thing. Okay, you come back, you just look for it, and then right here, close exterior. That's it. Now, if you have a control panel or can map keys to, all you have to do is go to escape, go to options, key bindings, click joystick HOTAS, advanced controls, vehicle cockpit, and right here open and close all door toggle. But in my case, on my vertical control panel, I have a switch up. Switch is a 2-position switch up and down, so I've got mine set to up and down like a light switch kind of deal. But that's it. Just wanted to show you that. And there you go, folks. Doors. Cool. All right, guys, we're going to talk about the advanced heads-up display, or the advanced HUD. Let's go take a look at that. This is the advanced HUD right here. Okay. Now, if you get in your ship, guys, and you don't see that, you can access it by going to your MFD HUD. You want to turn it on in SCM mode and turn it on in Nav mode, and once you do that, you should be set. Okay, and we're kind of work our way from left to right. So this right here tells us whether or not we're in SCM mode or Nav mode. You see how it changes? And when we do put it in Nav mode, this shows us, these bars right here show us as it calibrates and cools down. This is what this is, but this is our master mode notification. We'll put it back to the SCM mode. Right here, this is our thruster indication. Engines are on kind of thing. So if I turn the engines off, you see how it goes away. It comes back on. Cool. This little indicator right here tells us whether or not we're in coupled or decoupled mode. So if I hit the C button, now we're in decoupled mode. If I hit it again, now we're back in coupled mode. All right. If we go into VTOL mode, which on this ship, you can get to VTOL by hitting K. So in that mode, there's an indicator right here for vertical takeoff and landing. Okay, that's, if you see that, that's what that means. And if I switch to the exterior of the ship, you see the fans. If I hit K again, that's a VTOL mode. All right, cool. This is our fuel quantity indication in percentages for our hydrogen and for our quantum fuel. All right, this little indicator right here tells us whether or not our landing gear is down. So just quickly, if I'll take off and I'll raise the landing gear, you see how it goes away. Let me switch to third person here so you can see. Yep, so our landing gear is up, right? Now if I put my landing gear down, there's the landing gear. If you look, it also shows you that it's in transition down. And there, now it's done and locked. This is our speed limiter right here. What this does is it limits how fast we're flying. This is real handy if you're trying to like dock your ship, which you're not going to be doing in a small little hauler. Now, if you get in a whole sea, you eventually will, but just to kind of give you an idea what it does, if you hold Alt and then scroll your mouse wheel, it will change your speed limiter. It sets a limiter on how fast you can fly. Putting your landing gear down kind of does the same thing. Okay, cool. Okay, so this little section right here, this little indicator here, this is your speed indicator. It gives you an indication of how fast you're moving. Okay, section right here is our horizontal situational indicator. If you're familiar with flight sims or anything like that, so it gives us an indication of our ship relative to the ground. Typically, you only see it when you're in atmosphere. Okay, once you get out in space, this goes away. And so does your altimeter. So just real quickly. So if I pitch the nose up, you see how the numbers start getting higher and higher and higher, positive. If I pitch the nose down, now it starts getting negative. But it's basically telling you is that you're heading towards the ground. Okay, you're headed away from the ground. And right here is level flight. And as we turn, it lets us know angle our relationship to the ground, because we really care about the ground. We don't want to crash into it. This is how pilots fly using instruments. But we'll go ahead and land. Cool. Here is a compass. Basically tells us what direction we're heading. I don't really look at that. It's not really part of my scan when I'm flying. I really don't care, but it's there regardless. This is our afterburner. Okay, as we burn our afterburner, this will slowly bleed down, and eventually we'll run out of power, and you'll have to let it recharge. Okay. This is our altimeter right here. As you can see, if I take off, it's a radar altimeter. These two numbers coincide with each other. Okay. A vertical speed indicator, it's basically an indication of how fast you're moving up or down. This gives you an indication of how many decoys you have left. This is your G meter. As you start pulling G's, it just gives you an indication of the G's that you're pulling. And that's all that is. Okay, what this indicator does is it tells you the atmospheric pressure. So the lower you are to the surface, the higher the atmospheric pressure is. The higher you are in the atmosphere, the less it is. It's just giving you an indication of atmosphere. That's all that is. And folks, that is the advanced HUD, and I highly recommend you keep it on. Okay, all right guys, in this section of the video, we're going to talk about engineering. Okay, this is the Intrepid. We're going to run up in here and we're going to head aft back here to engineering. And here's the good old engineering terminal. Okay, so the engineering in general is a combination of all of our components, as you can see right here. There's a cooler, let's see, power plant, shield generator, quantum drive, and there's let's see, up here we have, there's our radar, and then life support somewhere. There it is right there. Fuses, there's fuses, and there's a fire extinguisher. Let's see, so back in the day, we would just jump on our ship, we'd set our engine pips to full tilt boogie, and off we go without a care in the world, right? Now with the advent of engineering, it's a little bit more realistic. We can't run our stuff 100% all the time. Our components will start to take damage, wear and tear, like a transmission. If you were standing on the gas 10,000 RPMs, the engine wouldn't run very long. All right, and so I guess the same can be said about our components. So what we need to do is we need to keep our engines, our power settings in the optimal settings so we don't burn our equipment up. Throw it up, full tilt boogie when you need it. Like if you're in a fight and you're fighting for your life, components don't matter as much. But the biggest piece of this is the engineering terminal and our MFDs up there. Okay, so just real quickly, this is the engineering terminal for all you new folks. Like, what do you care about? Well, you can set up defaults for your power settings. So this would be the default power setting, but you can come in here and create your own, and you can set your pips up so they stay in, it's like when you start up your ship, this is what they set to. All right, you can save it and apply. You also have, this screen will show your ship and its components and where they're located. It kind of works like the map does. And if you have a problem, if you just click show emergencies, it'll show you, okay, there's a fire right here or whatever. Systems, rooms. It's just a visual, and I'm just I'm left clicking on all these things right here. Doors, so I could close the door from here. I mean, how cool is that? I don't get too involved in this. Another thing that will happen when you power the ship off, this thing's going to be barking at you, and we'll show you that in a minute. If I come up here to the flight station, and I get in the pilot seat here, I'm looking at this more from like you're a brand new hauler. What do you care about? Well, this is what you care about. We're going to power the ship on. And let me zoom in here. So we have our engine pips. Okay. And you have a diagnostic page, if I can ever get to it. Here it is. This is the diagnostic page. All right. This shows us the status of our components. All right. That's what this does. And you can power things on and off right here, but you can also do that right here on your power management MFD. So what we care about here is that we keep our pips, our power settings below. We don't want them into this threshold right here. When we start getting into there, our components start wearing. If you're not careful, you could end up in a situation where components catch on fire. It's happened to me. So that's really what you care about. So when we're setting our MFDs and when we're doing our pre-flight checklist, we want to make sure that our power settings are not in these red zones. And that's really all you care about as far as engineering is concerned. Now, keep in mind, if you do have a problem where like one of these fuses burns out and the ship starts barking at you, this MFD will tell you, like this screen will tell you, hey, there's a fuse out. And you'll have to go change it. There's a stupid fuse panel at. Radar. There's one right there. There's a fuse panel. All right, so if you don't have like, you don't have a fuse on you, if your ship has like built-in storage, oh, here we go. Just hit I. There's fuses in these built-in storage panels, okay? And you can take that thing and go pop it into that little spot right there if you're having problems. I've yet to have one burn out on me. Just letting you know. Now, if you have a fire, you can grab your fire extinguisher and put the fire out, okay? Squirt that bottle until it's out. But there you go. That is engineering in a nutshell. In my opinion, take it for what it's worth. It does, yes, it does add immersion to the game. It does make sense that we don't run our, I'm serious, we would run our components full tilt, as many pips as we could put in it. It does make it more realistic. It does add more immersion, but I don't know. It's just aggravating, I guess. Really, for the big capital size ships, it does make sense that it would be a crew position, somebody monitored and all that stuff. But that's engineering in a nutshell for us haulers. Okay, cool. All right, guys, in this section of the video, we're going to talk about basic flight movements, the basic axis of rotations, pitch, roll, yaw, strafe up, down, left, right, thrust forward, and reverse. There's 9 directions of movement to move this vehicle, or any vehicle that matter, from one point to another, okay? This is going to be for the folks that are unfamiliar with space sims or maybe unfamiliar with flight altogether. This section of the video is for you. So the first movement, strafe up. Okay. Then strafe down. All right. Strafe left. You see what my thrusters are doing? Strafe right. Okay. That's the 3 directions of strafe. Up, down, left, and right. All right. Then we have thrust forward. Then we have thrust in reverse. Hopefully that makes sense. Now the next thing, we have pitch, where we bring the nose up. We have pitch, where we bring the nose down. You see what the ailerons are doing on the wings? That's the traditional flight inputs. Okay, then we have yaw. We're going to yaw to the right. Yaw brings the nose around. And yaw to the left. Okay. And then we have roll. So if I roll left, that's roll left. And then we have roll right. With these 9 degrees of input, we can go anywhere in the verse. Now, if you look at the ship, I'll try to get a little closer. You see the little thrusters putting inputs. CIG has done a good job of trying to capture that. Some ships are better than others, but you can see the thrust that's being put in to move the ship. It's pretty good. But there you go, folks. And that is it. Pretty cool. And there you go. All right, guys, just real quickly, I want to talk about the 2 different master modes of flight. Right now, I'm in SCM mode, or Space Combat Maneuvering mode. And you can tell that by looking right here. See where it says SCM? Okay. In the SCM mode, we have access to our weapons. Our shields are online. We have access to our shields. If you're a mining ship, you can activate your mining tools. If you're a salvager, you can activate your salvage tools. You can scan objects, that kind of thing. SCM is primarily used for takeoff and landing and flying around areas where we might potentially bump into something because we need our shields, right? And it's also the mode that you're going to do your dogfighting in, that kind of thing. Primarily for your new haulers, it's going to be how we take off and land, because we've got to navigate through openings and some of these tight spaces. And when you're in a small ship like this, you're going to be in the small hangars, not this big, large hangar. So you definitely want to be in the correct mode when you get ready to land. Now you can land in nav mode, and I've done it, not intentionally, just not paying attention. So let's talk about the nav mode, since I just mentioned it. So if you're just using a mouse or a keyboard, or maybe you have a joystick, the way you enter the nav mode, just hit the B button, or actually hold down B momentarily, and it'll switch over. Now do you see right here, we're in nav mode. It says QT, our quantum drive has come online. Our shields are down. If I pull the trigger, I can't fire the weapons. So this mode is mainly used for long distance jumps, or basically to use our quantum drive to jump from one point to another inside of Stanton, whether it's Stanton or Nix, Pyro, that thing. We also have to have our quantum drive on to actually go through the jump gates, wormholes, or whatever. You have to be in this mode. You also have to have your radar on as well. When you come out of quantum jump, you want to stay in this because it's super fast and you can get to where you're going really quickly. But once you start to get in range of a station, or in range of maybe a ground depot, or wherever you're headed to drop off your load or pick up a load, that's when you're going to want to switch back to space combat mode, so you can see your shields recharge, and it's a little bit slower. You're less likely to hit something, and if you do, you stand a better chance of surviving the impact than if you was in nav mode with no shields on, moving twice the speed, 3 times the speed that you normally would. So there you go. That's the different types of master modes of flight. And there you go, folks. SCM and then the nav mode. Pretty simple. And that's it. All right, guys. What is coupled and decoupled flight? What does that mean? Let's talk about that. So right here on our advanced HUD is a symbol right here, right there. And that shows that we're in coupled flight. So what is coupled flight? Let me show you. So if I take off and I switch to third person exterior view, if I push the throttle forward, which is my left joystick, I'm pushing it forward, and if I let go, the ship comes to a stop. So what the ship did is it put in a stopping force to stop the ship. If I pull it back, if I pull the throttle back and I let go, it stops the ship. Okay. Also, if I move the ship to port, strafe port, the ship stops. If I strafe to starboard or right, and I let go of the throttle, it stops. Same way, if I go up and I let go, it stops climbing. If I descend, it stops descending. All right. Now, when I put this thing in decoupled flight, this thing, if I put an input to go forward, the ship will keep moving. Let me show you. So I'm gonna go up. I have a button configured on my throttle, so I'm gonna tap that. You see how that went away? Now watch what happens when I put an input in. So we're gonna go forward. See, it just keeps moving. It'll keep moving until I put a correction force into it. So now I'm going reverse. It stays there. My hands are off the throttles. All right. Now if I put a input in to go to port, it keeps moving to port. I'm kind of moving in a diagonal. And same thing if I go to starboard. right? It also does that if I climb. See how it's climbing and descending. Now check this out. Watch what happens if I put in a yaw movement. It doesn't keep moving. It doesn't stop. It doesn't keep moving in traditional flight angles. It's only in the strafe directions. Pitch. If I pitch, it doesn't keep pitching. And if I roll it, it doesn't keep rolling. So I'm going to go ahead and couple it back. So I know what you're thinking, like, Anchor, what's the point of this? Well, there's two reasons that I'm showing you. Number one, this can be very challenging to land. So if you notice that and you're trying to land or trying to do something, maneuver the ship, you could couple and decouple by hitting C, okay, on your keyboard. The guys and gals that are very good at dogfighting take advantage of this. They can stay moving and they can spin their ship around and keep their nose pointed toward their target while they're moving. It allows them to do all kinds of crazy maneuvers. Real quickly, I wanted to show you if you had some available buttons and stuff you wanted to assign this switchology to, like maybe you want to do a little bit of dogfighting, which is cool. If you go to hit the escape button, then we're going to go to options, key bindings. This is for the keyboard. We're going to go down here and we're going to switch over to advanced customization, and I believe it's flight movement. And right here, enable, disable, decoupled mode. This is a toggle, okay? If you had buttons you wanted to assign, I want one button to turn it on and another button to turn it off. That's what you use. I just have this set to a thumb button on my left joystick, which is essentially my throttle. That's what it's become. So highly recommend you go into a 2-stick configuration if you're really interested in dogfighting. It gives you a lot more granular control. Ever since I put this on, I barely ever touch my throttle anymore. I use that more for another set of a bank of switches is really what I use it for now. But there you go. That's how you access it. Pretty easy. When you're done, just click back and you can go back to the game. And that is the decoupled and coupled flight modes. Cool. All right, guys, I'm in the Aurora Mark II, and I want to talk about vertical takeoff and landing. If we're looking here on our advanced HUD right here, we'll have an indicator. So if I switch to VTOL mode, we're going to have an indicator right here that pops up. And if I go to exterior view on the Aurora Mark II, you can see engines. Let me go back. You see the little fans right here on the lower wings. If I switch out of the VTOL, it closes. That's just a visual cue that, hey, you're in VTOL mode. If you hit the K button, it turns it on and off. Now, if you have a HOTAS, you just hit the escape button, options, key bindings, gamepad, advanced controls. I believe it's flight movement. Come up here to flight movement right here. Here it is, toggle VTOL. If you want to do 2 separate buttons, one to turn it on, one to turn it off, you can do that as well. I have mine set to a push button. And folks, that is VTOL. Ever since I've been playing this game, this has just been a kind of a neat feature. Not necessarily required. But what I did notice when I did the video for the whole B, that the ship did take off fully loaded easier with VTOL than it did without it. So just keep that in mind. I suspect that your big haulers you're going to need it probably here now and maybe into the future. You will definitely need your VTOL to take off when you're fully loaded. Guys, in our little starter ships, I don't think it's probably going to matter a whole lot, but just there you know. It's there. That's what it is. When you're in it, when you see that little upside down crown looking thing, that means that's thrusters letting you know, hey, I'm in VTOL mode. Cool. And once you get get forward momentum going, you can just kick it off and off you go. Pitch the nose up and go make money. That's what it's all about. All right, guys, that's vertical takeoff and landing system. All right, guys, pre-flight checklist. Let's talk about that. What do you need to do before you take off? Before a plane is taken out and flown, it's given myriads of inspections, daily inspections, phase inspections, conditional inspections, inspections, and the whole purpose of those is to make sure that the aircraft is airworthy, mission ready, and safe for the pilot to take it out so that pilot can return home safely, do more missions, and go back to home to his or her family. Before a plane is flown, a pilot, though, will do a walk around, a pre-flight inspection, and he or she will check. You know, it's a visual inspection to make sure everything's good to go, and then when they get in the plane, they go through a checklist to make sure switchology is correct and the plane's ready to take off. And they have departure checklist, takeoff checklist, arrival checklist, shutdown checklist, all these checklists, and there's a reason for it. After a while of playing this game, this stuff that we're about to talk about just becomes second nature. It's just part of your scan whenever you get in the plane, the ship, and leave. But for you new guys, it's not hard. Just a couple quick things to make sure that you're ready to go fly. The first one, make sure your helmet's on. I know it sounds silly, but you get out into space, and I've done it, and then you decide, you know what, I want to do an EVA, and then it's a bad day. So make sure you have your helmet on. So that's the first thing to check. The next thing, just again, sounds kind of silly. Make sure your hunger and thirst bars are full. When you get out doing something, whether it's you're running cargo or doing some mission or something, and you get laser focused on that task, and you lose situational awareness, and next thing you know, you're passing out in your ship. It's happened to me before, so make sure you're good to go with that before you get in and leave. The next thing, and we'll get in the ship and we'll check this, make sure your fuel levels are ready to go. Here we go. Let's go check that out real quick. So this was my starter ship, and I'm gonna jump in here real quick, and we're gonna check our fuel load. We'll go flight ready. That brings up our engines. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check our fuel load. And to do that, we're going to go right here. If you look right here on the HUD, it says we're in SCM mode. You can tell because our shields are coming online. We're going to hold down B. And now we're in nav mode. Now look over here. All right, guys, real quickly, I just paused the video. There's also a fuel quantity indication cue right here, Advance HUD, and it's based in percentages. Okay. Also, as you fly around, or if you're jumping, you're going to get audible cues of what your remaining fuel is. But this is where you actually can see the actual amounts. So, all right, we'll continue on. So, right now it says our hydrogen fuel load is 35.9. It's full. And our quantum fuel is 1.79. It's full. So our fuel load is good to go. That portion of the pre-flight checklist is complete. The next thing we're going to do is we'll make sure that we depart in the correct master mode. Right now we're in nav. So what we want to do is we want to hold the B button and switch back to SCM mode, space combat mode. And you can see our shields are back online. And the reason is that when you're in nav mode, the ship is really, really fast. And when you take off and land, there's a pretty good chance you're going to potentially run into something. And if you hit something in nav mode, you're going to impart a whole lot of extra energy into your airframe, and it's going to cause a lot more damage. So make sure that you are in SCM mode on takeoff and landing. So the next thing we want to make sure is we're in coupled mode. And you can tell by looking at this little indicator right here that we're in coupled mode. And if you don't see that indicator here, so I can turn it on and I can turn it back off. I have a little switch set up on my left control stick. But here we go. The way to set that, if you don't know, we can go to configuration. We go to flight. And so coupled mode right here, on, off. So make sure it's set to coupled mode, especially for you new folks, because the ship acts very differently in flight Just make sure that that is set to coupled. The next part of our scan is we want to make sure of our OR checklist, whatever you want to call it, is to make sure that our advanced HUD is turned on. Okay. And you can do that right here. This is what the regular HUD looks like, which just doesn't give you a whole lot of information. And this is the advanced HUD. So go ahead and put it to this. Okay, cool. The next check is to make sure that our MFDs are configured the way you like to have them. I personally like to have my power management here, and I like to have my target screen right here. That way, if I get into a scrap, I'm ready to go. I'm not trying to play around with settings. And then now with the introduction of engineering, I like to have this diagnostic panel right here. If I only have 2 panels, I would probably target, and probably this power management screen is probably where I would go. But that's your choice, whatever you want to do. That's MFDs, check. The next thing, and actually the last, I want to make sure that my power levels are set to the way I like them. Right now, I don't have no power to my repeaters, so I wanted to give those some power for sure. I want to give my engine some power. Give my shield generators power. And my radar is off. You notice that my radar is off? I want to make sure that I got power to my radar. Cool. Now my radar is working. I got everything set. So unfortunately right now, the MFDs, your power settings, they don't stay the same. Every time you get in, it'll be set to something wonky. Now there is a way, if your ship has an engineering terminal, that you can set a default load, and you can turn that on when you walk in. You can make sure that that is actually live, and that should keep your power levels all set to the way you like them. And I'll show you that in just a second. But there's some ships that don't have it. The Avenger Titan doesn't have an engineering terminal, so this is how you would make sure your pre-flight checklist is complete, by making sure your power levels are set. So if you do that every time you get in the ship, you'll be good to go. Now let's talk about your post-flight inspection. So your post-flight checklist is going to be, number 1, after you've done, let's say you're hauling a load of cargo, you've made a run from, I don't know, Evers Harbor to a couple of stops in Hurston and Teasa Spaceport. And you've flown back up to Evers Harbor and you're ready to make another run. Well, this is what you should do. What you want to do is you want to turn the ship off, and you can do that by just going right here. Power off. Cool. Next thing you want to do is you want to hit F1. And we're going to go to landing. Cool. So if your ship needed repair, maybe you shot your Gatling guns, you need some more ammo, or you did your quantum jump, whatever, you can hit these buttons and it'll just do it automatically. That's all you need to do. And then the last thing, you need to get out ship. We're going to hit Y. And you need to go store the ship. Okay, and the reason why, with the release of 4.0, fuel loads stop sticking, meaning that if I fueled it right now and I went to take off, you would notice that the fuel that you just purchased would not be in the ship. And you would get, if you weren't paying attention, you would jump out of, it really started happening. People started really noticing, like Pyro. Pyro is a huge system, and they were running out of fuel. I've seen videos of people hauling Quantanium after they just finished mining, and they jumped and they couldn't make it to the spaceport in time, and the ship blew up. So yeah, kind of a big deal. So that is your pre-flight and post-flight checklist. But real quickly, one last thing I want to show you. So you come in here and you can go F, right? And it's probably going to be set to this default preset. All right. So what you could do is you can create a preset. Like this is a preset that I made. Oops, I got out of it by accident. If you look at it, you could come in here and set your pips up. So if I'm going to save and apply, but you can just walk up and click it. All right. And then once you leave, we should if we get into the pilot seat again, and I go flight ready. So if I hit F, there's 1, 2, 2. So this is, check this out. It's got my tractor beam on. 1 pip, 2 pips, 2 and 2. So it's not 100%. I would turn the tractor beam off if you don't need it. There's no sense giving it. You're not using it to take the power away from it. You still need to scan it. You know what I'm saying? If you have an engineering terminal, it does help set up a power configuration, but it's not 100%. You still need to keep your power management in your scan, definitely in your checklist. I'm just going to go engine off. I'm going to get out of the ship. And after like I said, after you've refueled it, or you're going to go store it. And there you go, guys. There's your pre-flight and post-flight inspections. Pretty soon this will just become muscle memory. You won't even think about it. You'll just do it automatically. But for you new folks, this will help maybe prevent you making some of the mistakes that I've made along the way. All right, guys, there you go. All right, guys, so here we are. We're sitting in my hangar. This is my Taurus, and you need to get out of the hangar. So there's a couple ways to do it. You need to contact, I'm just going to call it ATC because that just makes sense in my head. We're going to contact a new Babbage ATC and request clearance to take off, right? And that's just going to open the hangar door. So how do you do that? There's a couple different ways. One of them, if you hold down F, you go to your MFD, and if you keep scrolling, there, you can hit that button right there. It says hail. Okay, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is go to your Mobi-Glass and go to comms, friends, International Spaceport. Hitting that button does the same thing. Then there's a third way. You can go, if you have a HOTAS with a button, we can go to options. And in my case, I have Virtual control set up. I'm going to go to key bindings. I have Virtual dual sticks with control panels. We got 2 separate control panels. Control panel 1 and 2. We're going to go over to advanced, and I think it's flight movement. If you come all the way down to flight movement, here it is. Request landing, button 43. This button is the hail button, okay? And all I have to do is hit this button on my control panel, and then it'll request takeoff. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit this button first. So I'm going to hit that. Let's see. Now the doors are opening up. There we go. Okay, now we're going to request clearance to land. And to do that, in this one, I'm going to use the Mobi-Glass. I'm going to show you that. Okay. So we're just going to go F1. Comms. Friends. Right here. You can hail this dude has got me targeted. You could hail that guy. And there's it didn't say nothing, but there's our hangar. It looks like it's going to be on the back side of that. So we're going to fly underneath here. Now we're going to take off. I'm going to hit my comms button after we get powered up and to request takeoff. So I'm going to hit the button on my Virtual control panel. Let's see. The game's a little buggy. It didn't even give me notification. No audio notification, but there we are. So that's the 3 ways you can request clearance to take off. For you new folks, when you come in for a landing, what I recommend you do is that you just point towards the deck, come in nice and slow, put your landing gear down, and when you get into the hangar, then in flare. Okay, you'll come in looking like this, pointed down, and when you get down fairly low, then just bring your nose up. Okay, practice doing that first. That's how I would recommend you land until you get your your muscle memory down for going third person, so you can see. It'll be a lot easier to land that way. Okay, maybe cover that in another video. Taking off out of this is Lorville. If you have a lot of the places you take off from in Microtech, some of them are like going into a space station. You take off straight ahead, but in the case of Lorville and then what is it, Area 18, New Babbage, sometimes you'll land straight down. And so these little straight down hangars can be a little bit challenging for your new folks. So how do you handle that? Well, now I can look up because I got head tracking, but what you need to work on is going to third person. So third person, I can look straight up. I can look straight down on the ship. Hopefully you have throttle and a HOTAS of some sort. So what you can do is you can pitch the ship straight up and down like that until you get comfortable taking off, like that, like a Harrier would. Until you get comfortable doing that. But if you don't have a good grasp on third person, so third person, you can get that by hitting F4, right? And if you hold down F4, you can. I'm in a hangar, so let's see. I can use Z button. Then what I can do is I can move. I can use, by holding down 4, I can use the scroll wheel on my mouse to come in and out, right? I can also, if I'm hold down F4, I can hit the asterisk key on the number pad and it'll center back in front of me like that. But I have a button I can hit on my throttles, and I'm just moving this around with my thumb, okay? But for the time being, I would say the easiest way to take off and land for you new folks, and we'll just do it from this position here. Just take off, come up a little bit, and then tilt your nose forward and take off like that. It's not pretty, but it works, right? So let's do that. So we're going to call for clear. We're going to call for takeoff, and we're just going to point straight up like that. I'm going to let the hangar doors come all the way open, okay? We look goofy, but who cares? And we're going to leave with our landing gear down. That's kind of cool looking, huh? And all you need to do is just put your landing gear up and off you go, okay? And when you're ready to come back in for a landing, it's just going to be the opposite of that, okay? For these little, just request landing.
We have a pad that's open.
All right, I got a straight in approach almost. It's basically the pad next to the one we just took off out of. I would kind of get situated. It's a square, so it doesn't really matter which way you come in. Put your landing gear down. Don't worry about that. It doesn't mean nothing. We're just gonna fly straight down. Okay. We're about one. Okay. And now all we need to do is just level up. Just come down nice and slow. Nice and slow.
Touchdown. Welcome to Lawville.
See, it's not hard at all. Alright. Yeah, you don't want to wait around there. People always grieve at OM1. We're going to request landing. Here we go. Wow, it almost looks like they gave us a straight in approach. We need to slow down. Alright. Oh, they did. It's beautiful. It don't get no better than that. Alright guys, these you just fly straight towards it. Nice and slow. And get yourself lined up as best you can. Okay. And then what you want to do is put your landing gear down. If you want to go third person, it helps. It definitely helps as you can kind of see where you're at. You don't necessarily have to, but just aim for the center. Just put your reticle in the center. All right, and just land. And that is it, folks. That is landing and taking off. It's not really hard. You just got to practice it, okay? But if it's the straight up ones, until you get comfortable and you know, just fly straight up and then fly straight down and then use a pitch maneuver to straighten yourself out and land. The main thing is make sure you have your landing gear down. Okay? Pretty simple. Folks, that's it. And in this section of the video, we're gonna talk about how to do a jump. Okay. So number one, you have to be in nav mode. That's the first requirement. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit F2, and then we're gonna select where we want to go. I'm gonna put in New Babbage. Okay. Just gonna select that. I'm going to click on it. It may or may not give me a route. In this case, it is, but that's a good thing. And then I'm going to, it's going to calibrate, and then I need to engage the quantum drive. And that's it. Now it's going to give me another vector. That pentagon right there is on every major planet. The pentagon is the main place, like Area 18, Orison, Lorville, Microtech. That's the capital. And so we are basically running our quantum drive. We're doing a small little quantum jump around the planet. It's just doing it by itself. I'm not doing anything. Here we are coming into New Babbage. Beautiful. How gorgeous is that? All right, folks. And that is how you quantum jump. It's really, really easy. All right, guys, let's check out the light amplification mode, or night vision, more commonly referred to as LAMP. So not all ships have it, but this the Titan behind me does. Let's go check that out and see what that's all about. Flight ready. And just real quickly, this is some things we can check in here. I'm going to turn off my hit tracker IR. So to quickly determine whether or not your ship has, well, there's a couple ways you can do it. One, we can go to I'm going to get that set up, but you can go to this configuration page, and we go all the way down. Light amplification mode. There's a switch you can turn it on and off. Okay, you can turn it on and off there. You can turn it on and off by going right Alt L. Ooh, that's bright. Okay, or what you can do is you can hit the escape button. If you have some type of a HOTAS or something you can assign a key binding to, we'll go to key bindings. And what we'll do is we'll go to advanced controls. I think it's vehicle cockpit. Nope, it's not that one. It's this one. The very top one, seats and operator modes, come all the way down. Light amplification toggle. In my case, I have it set to just a button. Okay, on one of my vertical control panels. That's it. There's all there is to it. Now all we're going to do is we are going to take off and we're going to go to a dark place so you can see what it looks like. Cool. Let's go.
You're all set to go.
So here's a light amplification mode. This is a Shubin mining facility. Okay, here is with it on. There's with it off. It's pretty cool. On and then off. So pretty cool. I really like the Titan's light amplification. This light blue is nice. It doesn't. The orange of the Drake really hurts my eyes for some reason. I don't know why, but this is not bad. Alright, so I dropped out of quantum jump just to kind of show you what space looks like with the lamp on. It's just picking up the light of the stars. Pretty cool, huh? And if I turn it off, there we go. All right, guys, vehicle weapons. How do you shoot your weapons? Let's talk about that right now. All right, the Roller Mark II is a kind of a weird animal. Normally, when the ship comes up, usually the wings are swept, okay? The weapons will not be able to fire. You have to change the configuration. This is one of those oddball ships you have to do this on, but let me show you that if in case you are a Roller Mark II owner and you just started the game. I'm just sitting here like it is. The very first thing we're going to do is we're gonna go flight ready. Okay, that's the first step on this particular ship. If I hit cycle configuration and the wings are folded, well, guess what? I can't fire the weapons. It doesn't even let me know that they don't even show up right here. But if I cycle the configuration and they swing out, now I have access to them. You see right there. All right, so that's the first bit with this ship. Guns. Any forward firing type of weapon, the guns have to be powered. So let me show you. If I turn them off, now I don't have access to them at all. They have to be powered. Now you see that the capacitors are charging. Boom. Now I can fire that weapon. Cool. That's the next thing. On your MFD, there is a weapons config page, okay? And what this does is it allows you to set up different groups. Is the best. I could have one group that only fires distritions, or I can make another group that fires all of them, okay? But in my particular setup, I have a 2-stage trigger on my Constellation Alpha. So the first pull is my attritions. When I hit the second detent, like the second pull, it fires my Gatling guns. Your left mouse button fires your weapons. In this scenario, if you would want to come in here and do maybe something like this, and set up a weapons group that was like this. So your first would just be that, and this would be both. Does that make sense? And that's using your mouse. If you're flying with a mouse, you could do it that way. You can set this up however you want to, okay? But this little setup works really good for me. This is typically how I roll, depending upon the ship, okay? But that's all that is. That's how you fire your forward firing cannons, weapons, repeaters, Gatling guns, that kind of thing. They just have to be powered. Another thing that's really cool is the Scorpions don't require a They don't require power to fire. I mean, let me back up and say this. The weapons have to be powered, but they don't require a pip. So if I had more attritions, I would have to put more power into the weapons. So if they're not fully powered, what happens is the capacitance value drops. So I only get 54 shots before it runs out. If it's fully powered, I get like 75, which is awesome. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's the guns mode. Let's talk about the missile mode. So there's two modes. Just keep that in mind. There's a missile mode and a gun mode, and you have to be in either or to be able to fire. You can't fire both at the same time. The easiest way to enter the missile mode, when you just get started, just push down on that center weapons wheel. And then now I'm in the missile mode. And you can tell by looking up here. You see it says marksman missile, armed 2 of 2. Now, if you press the G button, I can arm 3. I can arm 4. So if I fired the missile, I'd shoot 4 right now. Or I can go back to 1. If I had multiple types of missiles, I could just scroll the mouse wheel forward or backwards and it would select. If I had the combat module installed on the ship, I would have 8 Dominator missiles right here I could shoot. So I could have 16 missiles total. And so I could select between the 2 missile types just using my mouse. So on my vertical throttle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back out to that's scanning mode. I'm going to switch to guns mode. If I use my vertical control, now I'm in missile mode, and I can, without touching my mouse, I can select how many missiles I want to fire at once. That's it. It's that simple. And when I want to come back out of guns, I just press one button, boom, I'm back into guns. And that's it. But we'll go ahead and shoot a missile off so you can see that. It's kind of cool. We'll take off. We'll get airborne real quick. And I'll show you shooting a missile. I'll tell you what, let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. I want to fire all 4 of them. Here, it's going to arm them. I've got 6 left. Here we go. Here we go. That was pretty cool. Okay. I will tell you guys, especially you new guys, if you go out and you get trying to dogfight, shooting your missiles is a money losing proposition, and I'm going to show you that right now. So I'm going to put it back to guns mode, and there we are, back in guns mode. So check this out. I'm sitting here on deck, and I'm going to go to, so it's 15K. It cost me 15K to shoot 6 missiles, and we'll arm it back up. And right now they're reloading. It says restocking progress, don't take off. Okay. So now I have my missiles back. So it's 15K. When you're new, and here's the thing, guys. Some of these starting bounty missions are only like 19,000. That's the payout on them. It's not a lot. So you definitely want to stay off you definitely don't want to use your missiles unless you absolutely have to, if it's a life or death situation. But there you go. That is how you shoot your weapons and missiles in Star Citizen. Cool. I hope that helps. And maybe in a follow-on video, we'll do targeting and pips and all that next. All right, cool. All right, guys, in this section of the video, we're going to talk about how to target a vehicle, what gimbals locked and unlocked means, what's that look like. We're going to discuss weapons, pips. And I know I used the term pips when describing power management earlier in the video, but we're going to discuss what pips are, what a missile lock looks like on your opponent. And I ran a little bounty mission, and I just kind of put all the things I'm about to discuss into play. So here we go. So this is a Revenant Gatling gun. It's a size 4. It's huge, right? And this is an Oriskany cannon. There are 2 different types of weapons, obviously. You can assign a different pip for each type of weapon. And it can benefit you if I fire my Gatling gun. This is where I need to be aiming. If I'm firing my cannons, this is where I need to be aiming, that kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get in, and we're going to discuss that, and we're going to discuss the difference between locked and gimbaled unlocked, okay? And then I'm going to go flight ready. You should already know how to do that by now. And we're going to come down here to an MFD. It doesn't matter which one. We're just going to grab this one. And real quickly, I'm going to set my gun as set. Now we're going to go to configuration. So if we go to gunnery, we have this thing called Gimbals locked. Right now they're unlocked. So if I put it like that, the gimbals are locked. Let me show you what this looks like. Put this into practice. So, all right. So right here on the front of the ship, if I move my stick, nothing happens. Now if I go, now pay attention to this reticle right here. If I come down here and I turn that off, let's get airborne real quick. So I'm gonna take off, lift off. All right, cool. There they go. See how the guns are moving? Let me get a different angle real quick so you can see this. Pay attention to the cannon there. Let me see if I can. You see how the cannon kind of moves? So if I yaw, they're moving. All right. That coincides. Took a second for the computer. It coincides with this reticle right here. As I move, see how it moves around? That's the gimbals are unlocked. Now if I come down here and I lock them, now it doesn't do that. See, the guns don't move. That's the difference between locked and unlocked. So when it's unlocked, the computer, it'll try to put that gun on target. It's kind of helping you out in a dogfight. It'll do its best. If it has enough deflection, it'll try to put your gun on target as best as possible. The other difference between gimbaled and locked and unlocked is, according to Urkel and according to Ship's Performance Viewer, these weapons have less DPS in the unlocked setting. So if they're locked, it has higher DPS. There is a trade-off. Not a big deal, but just something you need to be aware of. All right, cool. Now let's talk about targeting. If you're using the joystick, and I certainly hope you are, if you have a HOTAS or even like me with dual joystick, this game gives you the ability to bind keys to all these different components and stuff. It's really amazing. Let's take a look at that. So if you go into your settings, I'm going to go to options. We're going to go to key bindings. If you're running a joystick and a mouse, and like I said, I hope you are, we're going to go to vehicle targeting. Okay. If we come down, this is a button called lock selected target. And then right here is lock target under reticle. I like this setting right here for a new player. I also have a scroll wheel on my Constellation Alpha joystick. It has like a scroll wheel, just like in a mouse. And I can scroll this thing backwards and forwards. If somebody's attacking me, I can cycle lock those attackers. But for just basic out of the getting started, folks, I like the lock under reticle. And what that does is if let me go back to the game. We'll just hit back. I'll return to game. So what that means is if I put a ship under this reticle and I hit that button, that ship is going to be locked. Okay. And that's what you want. That just makes it easy. Then I have another button. If we go back real quick, back to where I was at, that's the gamepad. And we go to vehicle. It's back up here. Targeting. Come back down here and cycle targeting. There's an unlock button. So, well, once you lock them up, you're locked. Well, you might want to unlock them. Okay. I have one to lock and one to unlock. That's it. That's the basics. Now, if you're running a keyboard and playing with a keyboard, let's see. I've never played that way. I know it's possible. Like I know up here is a whole section of locking, how to lock, remove all pin targets. That's too much for me to, I get task saturated. It's too much to deal with. I just like, okay, that's how I do it. There you go. I use that feature to lock it. You can set a key binding on a keyboard the exact same way you can set on a joystick. If you want to do that, you can come in here to vehicle targeting. See, it doesn't have one set. You could just pick something. If you want to put T on there too, lock target under reticle. So you can do that with a keyboard if you want to do it. It's everything is editable. Find you a key. Find you an open key that you like and then assign it. Put the keystroke in there and off you go. Yeah. But that's it. That's how you lock a target. I just press a button on my right joystick that locks it, and then it's a hat switch, and I move it over to the left, it unlocks it. That's it. That's how I do it. So when I target somebody, what I typically do, if it's a bounty mission, the game's going to be showing you once you've pinged and you've found your target, it's going to kind of put a square over it, like this is the target. And then what you would do is you still have to lock the target up. And it's basically lock target under reticle. And when I press it, it locks it up. And that's what that looks like. You see how he shows up on my screen down here? He shows up on my screen. And that's why I like to have that set. And then if I hit another button, I unlock him. So here he is again. I want to lock him up. I'm in guns mode. And here in a second, I should be getting a pip. Once I get within range, it's going to be like a green looking thing. Hopefully. He's just floating. And there it is. You see how the gun is, the radar is trying to keep him targeted? Yeah. There it is. The gimbals are aiming. No, I mean, I'm having to keep the nose on target, but that's what that is. That's what the gimbal mode does. Computer is keeping that crosshair on that dot. Pretty cool, huh? All right, folks, that's the basics. That's what the gimbals unlocked looks like. How to target, how to untarget, and kind of what the little pip looks like and what the little crosshair looks like. The next part of the little video of this section, I'm gonna take you on a bounty mission, and I'm gonna show you like what a missile lock looks like, and then just a really quick little gunfight. A little fight is pretty fast, and that'll conclude this whole how to target, how to shoot a missile section. Okay, basically putting everything we've learned into play with guns and missiles, and again, this is not to make you a proper gunfighter. This is just to lay the foundation for you to take it to the next level, because dogfighting requires a whole lot of practice, and it's a skill set you have to learn. Okay, some people are just naturally good at it. They got really good hand-eye coordination, and their brains can multitask. I'm just not that person. I'm just an old guy, and I do the best I can. So, but anyway, here we go. Let's go check out this bounty mission I did. Let's see if we can find us a bounty mission. We'll take this one here, okay? We'll take that one. See, it's only like 19K. It's not a lot, but we'll take that. And we'll pull our ship back up. We have I can see the target location already being painted. All right, so hit F. I'm gonna go and check our pips. That looks good. I'll take that. And then we're gonna check our gun settings. I'm gonna turn this off like that. There we go. I like that. And then we're gonna set this one to engines. And then we're gonna set this one to target. All right, man, we're ready to go. We're gonna request takeoff. What that's telling you right here is that you're waiting. So, all right, so we're clear. We just need to be real careful. We don't run into anybody, and off we go. Okay. There's a lot to run into out here. Well, there's a ship right there. I don't want to hit him. All right. So we're gonna come back. Come back. There we go. We're gonna switch. We're gonna get out of here. Make sure I'm not gonna run into anything. I'll switch to nav mode. What is this? I need to turn off this map. So I got something. Cancel that. Target. I'm like, okay, give me a route. All right, good deal. That was just a glitch there. Okay, here we go. Should be able to jump to it now. Here we go. Now gauge our quantum drive. All right, I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna get into our. My shields are coming up. I'm gonna give. See, there we go. There's the stuff we can run into. We need to be really careful here. I'm gonna switch to missile mode. If I lock them up, I'm gonna show you what that looks like, and then we'll put a missile into them and then hit them with a gun. All right, here we go. Here's our dude. Let's see if we can lock this dude up. 13K away. $11. Okay, there he is. That's there. Firing missile. Fire missile. All right, switching to guns. Okay. Switching to guns. I'm going to try to close the distance on them. Here we go. This is a tough little target right here. Okay, you see the pips? There you go. He's dead.
Nice job taking them out. I'll push your payment through.
tough little target, but that's it. You just got to see kind of the leading lag pips. And you can see where I was aiming for. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot a course back to Babbage. And what we're going to do is we're going to map. And easiest way to do that, folks, let's go new Babbage. Click on that. Give me a route. It gives me a route. Cool. And then we're going to jump back. All right, good deal. We're going to switch to nav mode. And off we go. And that's how you jump, by the way. As the sun is going down on Microtech, so concludes our little tutorial here on how to target a vehicle, what a missile lock looks like, pips and all that. I did a little bit of dogfighting, just a little bit, kind of show you what that looks like. I have no stretch of the imagination. Consider myself of any value when it comes to that. I just know enough to be dangerous, and that will be the end of this section of the video. So I hope it all makes sense. If it doesn't, leave me a comment and I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have. I know this is a lot to take in. So let's move on to the next subject. Cool. All right, we talked about guns and we talked about missiles, that kind of thing. Well, what about countermeasures? What if you're getting, somebody's got a missile locked on you? We do, if we bring on the power, we do have here on our advanced HUD decoy noise. Okay, how do you pop off? I'm just going to call it chaff and flares. Let me zoom out here. So there's one, and then the other one. That is the chafe and the flares, okay? And the whole purpose of that is to distract a missile. All right, so that's how you do it with my joysticks. But what about a keyboard? So it's H and J. So if you hit H, it fires the decoy, and then J fires this noise thing. H and J is how you do it. They're still going. If we go to our key bindings here, not that, our key bindings, we go to options, key bindings, HOTAS and a mouse. HOTAS, let's see. Oh no, here it is. It's shields and countermeasures, I believe. There we go. There's your decoy. And so you could toggle these buttons. You can set them to some, I got one set to each joystick. But there you go. And that is your decoy and noise. Alright guys, we're currently in my Intrepid, sitting in my hangar. And I want to talk to you guys about ejecting. There may be an instance where you have to, maybe you've been shot up or whatever the case may be. You've been jumped by pirates or whatever. And if you feel like you need to eject, this is the way you can do it. There's a couple different ways. One, some ships, when you get your ship, just look at all the buttons right over here on this is the Intrepid. There is a button right here. I'm not going to press it, but that would be one way to do it. Another way would be right, alt, and Y. If you look at the keyboard, look, if we go to options, key bindings, see where it says right here under Y, eject is M3. This is modifier, so right alt. Another way to do it if you wanted to bound, and I have a key bound on one of my control panels, you could go up here to the very top one, eject, and tie a button to it, and there you go. But just so you know, and it'll spit you outside your ship. But the cool thing is that the seat will eject you. Like, even if you're in atmosphere, this is awesome. The seat will eject you, and you will be spit outside the ship, but you don't have a parachute. So yeah, you ejected, but you're still gonna fall. You're still gonna die. You're still gonna fall to the planet. So why even bother? There's no chance of survival. So man, I guess maybe if you land in water, I don't know. It's ridiculous. Why don't you ride the seat down and the seat lands you? I don't know why CIG hasn't thought of this. Just give us a freaking parachute. Come on, man. You know, and if you eject in space, you're just going to end up floating in space. You're going to end up, maybe it gives you time. I don't know, if your ship catches on fire and you're about to explode, I mean, I guess that's one way to do it. But if you absolutely have to get out quickly, that's the best way. Just hit the eject button. But again, if you do it in atmosphere, you're going to fall to your death anyway. So what's the point? There's no point to it. At least that I can think of. I guess maybe make it easier to, I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, that's the ejection. All right, guys and gals, this concludes episode 4, phase 2, the flight phase of boot camp. Hopefully, for all you new folks, this makes it clear as mud and how to get out there and use your ship. I did my best to cover everything I could think of that you need to know to be successful, to, you know, at least get you going and get you flying. So hopefully this helps you out. Anyway, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, and I hope you do, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if the video wasn't complete garbage, I know it was long, please consider giving me a thumbs up. That would be awesome too. But if you don't, that's cool. Thanks for, you know, I really do appreciate it if you stuck it all the way out to the end. Thanks for watching. Hope y'all have a great day. Y'all take care. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one. Ready, anchor, and salute. Ready, 2. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.